The vagus nerve is one of the most important components of your entire nervous system. And if you truly understand it, you will understand why embodiment, regulation, and nervous system healing are the very core of your transformation. The vagus nerve is the main communication highway between your body and your brain, and it runs from your brainstem all the way down through your face, throat, heart, lungs, diaphragm, and into your gut. It's a part of what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for your body's rest, repair, and recovery state, which is the exact opposite of your fight or flight mode. When your vagus nerve is active and healthy, your body knows how to relax and how to work properly, how to digest, how to connect, how to feel safe, right? How to work in an efficient way. But when it's shut down or just underactive, your system becomes stuck in survival and it is going to be constantly preparing for danger, even when there isn't any, right? Because what we've learned by now throughout this course of all the videos on psychology and manifestation explained is that your body can switch on fight or flight mode just like that. Your body can shift into the sympathetic mode without you even knowing. And most of you keep living in that state, and it's not healthy. So, you can think of your vagus nerve as the translator between your mind and your body because it carries the messages of safety or threat in both directions throughout your entire body. Every time that you take a slow breath, every time that you soften your body, every time that you allow yourself to exhale fully and just become present, your vagus nerve sends a signal up to your brain that says, okay, we're safe now, we can relax, we can work properly. Consequently, your heart rate slows, your digestion improves again, your muscles release tension, and your prefrontal cortex, which again is the part of your brain responsible for rational thought and conscious decision making, comes back online. If you haven't watched the video on the prefrontal cortex, I'm gonna link it up here right now. Now, this is the physiological foundation of regulation, but when you live in chronic stress and suppression, overthinking, emotional avoidance, your vagus nerve loses its flexibility. And that means that it becomes less responsive, meaning that even small triggers send your body into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And you stay there longer than necessary. Like I mentioned before, some of you are living in it 24/7 and you don't even realize it. And this is why so many people feel like their emotions and thoughts control them instead of the other way around, and why they cannot sit still for 5 minutes or be alone for 5 minutes with their own thoughts, because their body simply hasn't learned how to properly return to safety, how to properly return to your parasympathetic nervous system, how to properly return to rest and digest mode. The vagus nerve is also the biological basis of what we call embodiment. Because embodiment is not just about being in your body, it's about your nervous system being able to stay regulated while you experience your emotions fully, while you experience an intense situation fully. So the vagus nerve is what allows you to feel deeply without collapsing, without spiraling, right? When it's functioning well, you can cry and still feel grounded. You can be triggered, but still choose your response consciously, still not lash out, still control yourself. So you can experience stress, but not spiral into panic, still contain yourself, still push through, still work through it. And that's what true nervous system resilience looks like. Not the absence of emotion, not the suppression of emotion, but the ability to stay connected to yourself through it all. And I'll give you an example. I used to be the biggest dysregulated crybaby when I was a kid, all the way up throughout my teenage years. I not only cried for everything overall, but I literally cried spiraling for attention. And to give you a concrete example, I vividly remember the way I used crying as a way to manipulate others into loving me and into giving me validation. So, what I used to do is I used to victimize myself in middle school. So, when I was around 8 years old, which is crazy when you think about it, to the point that I made myself cry in the middle of the schoolyard and just sit there by myself You can already have the image in your head. Until other kids would come up to me asking me if I was okay, asking what happened, asking what I needed, hugging me, comforting me, and so on, right? You get the gist of it. In my teenage years, I completely lost control of my crying because I spiraled into complete panic attacks when it happened. I vividly remember literally sitting in the middle of my high school cafeteria, just hysterically crying, either by myself, in front of my ex-boyfriend, or just some friends, right? Regardless of who was around me, I was doing it because I refused to control myself. I wanted to make them feel bad for me. I was addicted to the attention and the love and the validation that it gave me from people comforting me and giving me quick pep talks to stop crying, right? Because that feels good. To get to the point, this is the complete opposite of embodiment, all right? You can see it. This is the complete opposite of emotional but also nervous system regulation. And on top of that, this is the complete opposite of healthy behavior, by the way, as well. I was a mess. I was not embodied. My vagus nerve became completely unresponsive, which makes total sense given the state of stress and avoidance that I constantly put myself in. But now, from a healing perspective, the vagus nerve is the structure that makes emotional safety possible. So remember that your body learns safety through repetition and experience, and not through logic or theory. The vagus nerve is constantly reading the cues from your environment and your internal state, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your breathing patterns, your body posture, and deciding whether to activate safety or whether to activate survival and defense. And this process is called neuroception, and it happens entirely below your conscious awareness. So even when you tell yourself, I'm fine, your vagus nerve might still be reading microsignals of threat, for example, a tight jaw, your breathing is shallow, tense shoulders, you're tense overall without noticing it, and keeping your body in survival mode then. This is why regulation has to happen through the body, because your mind sometimes is lying to your body and your body notices it and activates the survival instinct anyways. So you cannot think your way into safety, you have to feel your way there, right? When you're dysregulated, your vagus nerve loses what's called tone, meaning it struggles to shift between activation and relaxation smoothly in that moment. But vagal tone can be strengthened just like a muscle, right? Every time you practice conscious breathing, deep breathing, humming, singing, or even using your voice authentically, speaking up for yourself, right? Speaking loudly and proudly, you stimulate the vagus nerve. Every time you slow down your exhale, or you lengthen your posture, or you ground your feet, you ground your body, you're sending safety signals upward through this nerve. Because you're becoming relaxed, you're staying grounded. Over time, this then creates new feedback loops of calm and coherence throughout your entire system. And again, just to mention it, this is not woo-woo spirituality. It's again literal biology. It's how your body and brain work. You are rewiring your nervous system at the level of the body, which then reshapes your mind. But what's also powerful about the vagus nerve is that it's deeply connected to your ability to connect with others. When it's healthy, you naturally feel more empathy and more presence and more trust. So you can make eye contact, your tone softens, and your body language overall becomes open. And this is why trauma healing and relational healing are inseparable, because your vagus nerve doesn't just regulate you, it also regulates how you connect. Polyvagal theory calls this the social engagement system, meaning that your sense of safety and your capacity for intimacy, they are wired together. If your body has learned that closeness equals danger, your vagus nerve will shut down in relationships, even when your mind wants to connect. That's when you become avoidant. That's when you try to run away from it. That's when you have commitment issues. This is why embodiment work, though, is essential for emotional intimacy, because it teaches your body that connection can be safe again, that intimacy and love and all those things can be safe. Now, this being said, before, I talked about the way that I use my dysregulated state to my benefit, right? Fast forward to 5 years ago, all the way up to now, I consider myself still a crybaby because I'm just built near the water, okay, as we would say in my native language. But I do not use it for my own benefit anymore. I do not use it to get attention or validation or love for that matter. I don't use it to manipulate people anymore. And I do not purposely present myself crying in public at all. I only use it as a way to relieve pressure from my body, to process my emotions, and to properly work through different situations that occur from time to time in my life, because life is still happening to me, right? It literally clears out the stuck energy and emotions that I have within myself. That's how I see it. And to me, it's my easiest emotional and nervous system regulation tool that I have naturally. It's so practical because even in my relationship, my boyfriend knows that when I start crying during difficult conversations, or just sometimes when I speak up for myself, or there's an uncomfortable situation going on, or we're having an uncomfortable conversation going on and discussion going on, it's nothing personal. And I'm not becoming dysregulated at all in that moment. My thoughts are still very clear. My voice and my language are still perfectly normal. I'm still breathing properly. I'm not avoiding the conversation or the issue at hand in that moment. And I'm also not running away. I'm not blaming. I'm not raising my voice. I'm not choking on my own tears and snot. None of that. I'm still very clear in my mind. I just have tears running down my face, right? And because of this, he learned to just bypass it and let me process it in my way while we can still work through the situation at hand healthy and efficiently. And within our relationship, me just being able to remain open at any given time in that sense, it allowed us to hold more space for emotional intimacy as well. Now, of course, there are moments where I'm not clear in my head and I cry and I cannot contain myself and I cannot calm myself down. But those are the moments where I remove myself from the situation, where I take up space alone and gather my thoughts. This is not a moment then to have a conversation and figure things out, figure issues out, right? Those are two different things. So I just wanted to give you an example from my own life. Maybe you've experienced that, maybe you know someone who has experienced that, but this is basically what a healthy vagus nerve looks like versus a dysregulated one. Now, the vagus nerve also links directly to your enteric nervous system, which is your gut's brain, basically, which means that it influences not only your emotions, but also your digestion, immune system, and even your hormonal balance. So when your vagus nerve is active, that is when your body can digest food efficiently and absorb your nutrients and eliminate toxins and so on. You know what the body does. But when you're in chronic stress, that is when your digestion literally shuts down because the body doesn't prioritize growth or healing in that moment when it perceives danger. So if you've ever struggled with gut issues, fatigue, hormonal imbalance, this is often the downstream effect of a dysregulated vagus nerve or overall of a dysregulated nervous system, like I talk about in my other videos. Healing your body, therefore, always starts with regulating your nervous system and not just treating symptoms on the surface or through more pills or through more of these unhealthy things that you just shove everything, that just make you suppress the things that you feel even more. Now, in the context of identity shifting and manifestation, the vagus nerve determines whether your nervous system perceives your expansion as safe or unsafe. And remember, your brain does not create from logic. It creates from what your body feels safe to hold, from what your body knows, from what your body is programmed to do. So if your vagus nerve is underactive, your body associates expansion, visibility, success, or love with danger. So every time that you try to step into your next level, your system contracts. You procrastinate, you self-sabotage, or you feel paralyzed altogether. But when your vagus nerve is strong and flexible, your body can hold that new energy so that you can feel discomfort without spiraling, without panicking. You can face uncertainty without collapsing within yourself. And this is what it means to expand your capacity. It's not at all about forcing yourself to think bigger, be bigger, push through. It's about teaching your body to stay regulated while you do. And this is why nervous system regulation is the foundation of manifestation. Because your frequency, so the energetic state that shapes your reality, is determined by your physiological state. When your vagus nerve signals safety, your heart rhythm stabilizes, your breath slows, and your brain enters coherence. This coherent state is the sweet spot for creation. It's when your mind, body, and energy, so your soul, align, allowing you to receive and to create and to magnetize with ease. So you stop manifesting from survival, so your sympathetic nervous system, which is all about avoiding pain, and you start manifesting from alignment, so your parasympathetic nervous system, which is about expressing your truth. You're no longer reacting to life, you're just directing it by coherence, with coherence. So if you want to strengthen your vagus nerve and heal your body's relationship with safety, the work is very simple but powerful. Slow your breathing, breathing into your belly instead of your chest. Lengthen your exhale. Humming in a low tone stimulates the vagus nerve through vibration. Gentle movement, yoga, somatic release all help you connect your brain and body. Cold exposure, when done mindfully, trains your nervous system as well to stay calmer under controlled stress, which increases your vagal tone. And of course, nervous system regulation through embodiment, which is the foundation of all my teachings. It integrates all of this together. Because when you combine awareness with your physical safety, that is when your body learns what peace actually looks like and what it actually feels like, most importantly. So it's not just an idea anymore, it's a lived experience to you. When your vagus nerve is healthy, you stop living in survival and your digestion improves, your sleep deepens, your mood stabilizes, and your relationships soften as well. They become healthier as well. You begin to respond to life with grounded clarity instead of reactive fear. You can hold more love and more joy and more abundance and all the things because your body now recognizes that those emotions are actually safe. And this is the real embodiment of transformation, not thinking your way into a new life. Oh, I want that. But regulating your body so deeply that your new life becomes your new baseline. So I am that. This is who I am. And that's why inside my Coming Home to Yourself membership, I teach you exactly how to regulate your nervous system from the bottom up to strengthen your vagus nerve and reconnect your body to safety. Rewire it to safety. Rewire your nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic so that your healing becomes your natural state instead of something that you always have to chase. You always have to learn new things to understand it. Because when your body is regulated, your mind also becomes clear, your energy becomes magnetic, and your life begins to reflect the peace within you. That's exactly what I'm teaching you to become, not to know, to become. Your vagus nerve is not just a nerve, it's the biological anchor of your spiritual evolution, basically. It's how your body remembers peace, how your heart communicates truth, how your nervous system learns to trust your expansion and your growth. And once your vagus nerve learns safety again, learns that it is safe to feel, every part of your being follows that. And that's when healing stops being work and actually just starts being who you are.